Okay, here from Chapter 3, we're going to go over the characteristics of IGP and EGP routing protocols. IGP is Interior Gateway Protocols used for intra-autonomous system routing, that is, routing inside an autonomous system, whereas EGP is Exterior Gateway Protocols used for inter-autonomous system routing, that is, routing between autonomous systems. So here we have our ISP router, and we have Autonomous System 1. These have been configured with IP addressing and RIP version 2 routing. RIP version 2 is the Interior Gateway Protocol that we'll be using, and IGPs are used for routing within an autonomous system. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this system. We're going to click here on our autonomous system to see what it consists of. And as you can see, we have 3 routers and 2 PCs connected to router 1 and to router 2. Now, we're going to view the output of each router. So router 1, we're going to go into Show IP Protocol. And we can see that the running protocol is RIP. This is correct for each one. What is the autonomous system number being used? I'm not sure I know the answer to that one. The autonomous system number being used. I do see that there are 4. I'm not sure if that's it. So, as we look into Show IP Route, we can see what's connected. We'll move this over here. We can see that this IP is directly connected through serial 1. This is here. And you have the router here is connected. Here's a router, and this is directly connected. Router 2 is similar. Here you have a router via this serial, and you are directly connected here through a serial. This is direct connection. Actually, this one is the PC. This is the router right here through the fast Ethernet. All right, so there's router 3 connected there, and there's PC 2. Now notice that in router 1 and router 2, all of the IP addresses start with 192, which is different than router 3, which happens to have also is directly connected to an IP address 172. Here again, we know that these are 192s, and they're here, directly connected, and here's router 1 and router 2. So this is the router that's connected, ISP. So I guess what I was trying to say was that the ISP network is not listed in the routing tables of R1 and R2. I wanted to note that AS1 is a customer of an ISP, as you can see here. As a customer of the ISP, AS1 does not need a listing of every route on the internet from the ISP. Instead, the ISP would typically use an EGP, an external gateway protocol, to route between various autonomous systems. All right, now we're going to take a look at ISP router. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to look at its protocol. Okay, and we get nothing. So is a routing protocol being used by the ISP router? The answer is no. The ISP is not configured. The ISP is not configured with a routing protocol. If the router were configured with an EGP, then it would have a BGP configured. Examine the routing table of the ISP router using the show IP route. All right. So, document the networks that the ISP router lists in its routing table. Which networks are not listed? Well, as you can see, it is directly connected with an outward interface here, and it does not have router 1 or router 2, which are, it's not connected to those. Okay, so it's only connected to the autonomous system. Okay, we're going to go back into the thing, and each PC should be able to ping the routers on this autonomous system here. So let's ping router 1. And here we have 4 packets were sent, 4 received, none were lost. So we're connected to router 1. Let's ping router 2. Put 1 space there. And we can see it's going through. 4 sent, 4 received, none lost. So we're connected with router 2, which is actually really cool because PC1 then goes through router 3 in order to get to router 2. So we pretty much know that router 3 is connected. Let's go ahead and ping router 3. All right, 4 sent, 4 received, none lost. We already knew because we could get to 2 that we were connecting with router 3. Okay, now we're going to check and see if PC1 is connected to the ISP. So we're going to go ahead and ping that. The ISP is 126.5.15. That is the IP address of the ISP router. And here we see that this host, the destination host, is unreachable. 4 have been sent, 0 were received back, so we lost all 4. So it is not connected to the ISP router. So does the network between R3 and the ISP appear in the routing table of R1? Let's go back to router 1. And do we see that the network between R3 and the ISP appear? So why can't PC1 ping the ISP router? I assume because we don't have a route set up to it. All right, we need to do that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to configure our router in our AS1 with the default route using the exit interface of R1. So we need to enable config T to get into there, and we're going to create this route. And we're going to be using the S000 for this. So we have created that. Let's get out of there. We're going to go into R2. We're going to IP route, create it. Whoops. Also, it's through the serial 000 and escape. And now we're going to configure R3 with the default. And the question is, what is the exit interface to use on R3? So let's go back to R3. And we see that this serial right here is the one that seems to be connected to the ISP router. So we're going to use this serial. So enable, oops, config a default, through serial 0, 1, 0. Okay. Now, let's see if that works. View the routing tables for these routers now that the default routes have been added. Are the default routes listed in the routing tables? Let's take a look at R1. Show IP route. Whoops. Oh, we're not added there. Sorry. Is that right? Okay, I want to get out. Okay, I was a little confused here. As we can see with routing T, I went into config T. I went ahead and put in the route, default route, out that serial right there, and I ended with Control Z. And I ended up back here, which kind of confused me. So then I tried to go ahead and ping the ISP, and it said that the success rate is 100%, 5 to 5. So I must be okay. So let's try show. Let's see, where were we? We were trying to find, are the default routes listed in the routing tables? So show IP route. Ha ha ha. There we go. Now we see a default there is directly connected through this ISP. Cool. Okay, let's check one. We now have a directly connected default through this serial on router 1 and router 2. Now we have all of that. Okay, so the default routes are now listed. Okay, so now that we have the default routes on all of the routers here, what we're going to do is we're going to create static routes on the ISP router to reach the networks within the AS1. We're going to go back here, into here, and in the ISP we're going to enable config T, and we're going to create the routes according to my table that I have up above. And they're all going out that okay, I need a second to look at that. Okay, I Googled some help, and this is something maybe that I don't understand yet. That I need to look at the interface addresses and masks and figure out the network addresses from those interface addresses. Like take the fast Ethernet which on router 1, which has an address, and figure out that the network address, what it is. So let me take a few minutes to see if I can figure that out, and then I'll be back. Okay, I have to admit I am a tad bit confused by all these numbers. I'm not sure what I'm looking at when I look at them. This is the one that they gave us. that's one. And it doesn't like it. Oh, okay. So IP, got to do them right. 192.168.145.255.252.172.116. Now this last one is the interface out, the exit interface, I believe, for out of the ISP. Now the next one, whoops, this is the two PCs. Or, no, I think these are the routers. And then here's PC. Out the exit. Whoops. Ooh, can I change that? Ooh, I can't change that. Okay, that needs to be at 0. Oops. First, let's change that other one. Too much typing. And IP route 9. I wonder if I should cancel the whole thing. I don't think I can cancel. All right. Now I probably got this extra one in here that I don't need. But we'll see. Okay. So now, probably what we need to do now is ping from 1, verify the connectivity from AS1 devices to the ISP router. So, let's go here to the PC1, and we're going to ping the oh my gosh, it's actually working. Here we go. PC1 can get a hold of the ISP router, and let's check this one. 172.168.116.115. Wow, 4 sent, 4 received, 0 lost. We did it. Woohoo! I am still a little confused by these IP addresses. I believe I understand the default routes now, but I'm not sure I totally understand figuring out the IP route addresses for the static routes. That's something I'm going to have to work on. So there we have it. All connected. Thank you.